Peace to everybody. Shalom, which means peace in Hebrew. Peace, 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 blessings, blessings, blessings to everybody. While you here, first let me say I am Noir AD. And before I get into anything, please let me know if I am being heard loud and clear, because I want to make sure everything is crisp. I don't usually go live, but I said, you know what, man, you won't change. Things gotta change. You gotta make some moves. You feel me? So yeah, everybody come in, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Go on and subscribe. Appreciate that, Jay Bird. Appreciate that. So yeah, you know what? I actually don't even want to waste any time getting into this. Um, really, I wanted to know, did everybody check out that Jay-Z freestyle and all of that at the Roots picnic event, music event? Did everybody peep that? Oh yeah, for sure. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, everybody hit that like button, subscribe, all that. I am trying to get on my way to the 5,000 subscribers mark. So, along this journey, I certainly would appreciate it if you would come along. All right. So, anyway, getting right back to it, I was peeping that Jay-Z freestyle. I had to watch it a couple of times just to make sure I was really absorbing the gravity of the situation, so to speak. Appreciate that, Jay Bird. Um, hello, Brielle. Um, Elena. Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate that. And peace and blessings to everybody. So again, going back to the Jay-Z freestyle, I think is definitely done exactly what it was supposed to do right now. And that's to get everybody speaking about it. And while these things were on my mind, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm tripping. You know what? Let me go and ask the people that's right there. So what up? What up, Lorenzo? Yeah, I'm just chopping it up about this. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Jay Bird is on it. Appreciate that. So I'm just wondering if I'm tripping, right? Because there's a lot of things happening online that in regard to this freestyle and the disses and so on and so forth. It's really got me thinking about everything in a different lens. So I was wondering, is this, did Jay-Z deliver like a legendary moment, or was this like a performance that's being graded on like a Hall of Fame kind of curve? You know what I mean? Like just because it's Jay-Z, it's, getting whatever attention, that kind of thing. You know, I'm just wondering if, 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 you if I'm tripping here, you know. So and I wanted to break down everything really just to get it off my chest. You know, like I say, I normally don't go live. So anybody up in here like and subscribing, I know it may not be many right now, but I'm cool with that. Uh like I said, I'm just building this thing really, getting used to the whole mechanism and the whole nine. But I wanted to chop it up about the look, the energy of the performance. I wanted to talk about the bars themselves, the disses themselves, and the reaction from the audience, the fans themselves. I wanted to talk about that, you know, because I'm hearing a lot of mixed reviews in the sense of people, some people are feeling like real nostalgic off of everything. And then there's some that are kind of thinking that is pretty mid, you know, which everybody has a right to their opinion, you know. Um, but I do wonder, is the term mid being a bit abused in the music culture today? Just wondering, you know. And before we can even really get into the lyrical aspect of it, the lyrics, I wanted to talk about like, let's start off with like the look, the presentation. You know what I mean? Um, I was wondering what everybody thought about the presentation because I was seeing, you know, a few jokes, and I was seeing, you know, some pretty mixed reviews on that, you know. Um, I was seeing that some people felt like he may look a bit like Bone Bone Thugs in Harmony. He had that kind of look, you know. I thought it was kind of like a look between Bone Thugs in Harmony, Easy E, and oddly enough, I thought it had the look of I thought he had the look of Colin Kaepernick. It is oddly enough, he kind of had that look, which is, you know, the weird dynamic between them. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, just appearance, you know, and I was wondering if his appearance also is a talk piece just as much as what he was saying, you know. Because I'm looking at this thing, I'm a Gen Xer, you know what I mean? If I get to make it to next month, the Most High allows me to make it to next month, I'll be making it to 48. Praise Yah. And so I'm a Gen Xer, but you know, I'm looking at this thing from I'm also an artist myself, you know. So I'm thinking about it from a different standpoint, and I'm viewing it through a different lens. Amen, Jay Bird. And I appreciate you rocking with me right here. You know what I mean? For real. I know it's late and everybody moving and grooving how they do, but I appreciate that. You feel me? But yeah. Um thinking about the fact that he kind of has that Colin Kaepernick look. Yeah, it's around that time for me as well. But he has that Kaepernick look, and you know that dynamic between them. So you know, like I say, I was wondering, did the look distract from the bars? Um, or are people focusing on the wrong thing as it pertains to that? You know. Um, then I look at his energy. I look at how his energy was on stage. Of course, he was Jay Z, classic Jay Z, but not so characteristically classic Jay Z. You know, I say for me, it wasn't so much as you know, as far as what stood out for me, it's not so much as what he said necessarily, as opposed to how he said what he said. And he had a lot more intensity than what Jay Z is really known for. He's usually known for being more laid back, passive type of demeanor, you know, just cool breeze in the fan, right? Uh um I don't know. He just seemed more intense. And I guess rightfully so. He hasn't had his name has been attached to some pretty, I'll just say, unsavory things. And, people have said many things about him in the past few years, to be quite honest. But nonetheless, I, I I think it's rightfully so that he can stand up for himself and finally say what he feels in the moment. You know what I mean? Like I say, more so about the way he was saying what he was saying. And I'll go deeper into what I think was going on with him. But hey, who really? Why would he care what I think, right? Or what any of us think? He's a billionaire, right? But I was wondering, is like, for y'all, did y'all hear hunger or confidence, or for you all, did it sound like frustration or something else? You know, I don't know. I just, like I say, I'm viewing it through a different lens, and it's really got me thinking. Oh, oops. But I know the main thing that has caught everybody's attention and got everybody talking about it, of course, is the shots he was taking at people, and how much attention that's getting. It's like, yeah, naturally going to happen, right? Because there's been many of people taking shots at him. You know, I appreciate that. Yeah, I am. I am a guy when I want to be. No, I appreciate that. But yeah, you know, he seemed to be having a lot to say about the his critics and detractors. Like I say, rightfully so, you know. And that's a pretty big stage to be able to say it upon. Most of his critics and detractors don't share the same type of capacity of stage and audience that he would attract. um but he's also nearly 60 years old, you know um but I'm wondering, is it the normal competitive hip hop behavior, or is it you know, is it just his response to the years of scrutiny? You know, is this like a strategic ploy, as far as PR and all of that? Which I mean, he's a pretty intelligent guy, so we know that he definitely has a handle on that type of thing, and he's been in the game for decades. Um, but I also wonder, does him being Jay Z, does him being Jay Z responding elevate the critics? Because he is Jay Z, and I don't idolize any human being or anything like that. But I understand that there are levels and status and understand like that. And oh, you as well. You as well. Have a good one. Blessings, peace to you and yours. And I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to finish this one on out, you know what I'm saying? Just to vent my mind. But yeah, I wonder. I'm wondering now, does him responding finally, even though many people were looking to be able to uh hear from him at some point, does Jay-Z finally responding to critics elevate them, or does it hurt his legacy? I'm wondering. Yeah, you know. And because it's like at Jay-Z's level, as many years that it has been since he's been in the game and operating at a high level, high capacity, you know, should he still be addressing critics directly? Which he's kind of a vague kind of guy anyway. He does a lot of subliminal stuff anyway. So I mean, or not so direct. That's why I guess it's interesting to see this part because he's not typically so direct. He's usually a subliminal guy. So I guess that's part of the reason for the fanfare because he's, yeah, like I say, he's typically a subliminal shooter. You know, and one of the things I was seeing was like with Jay Z. I don't know if anybody. Well, I'm sure there are other people that's definitely seeing this. I'm like, is there a disconnect with Jay Z and the Gen Zers? Which I guess rightfully so. I mean, dude has been in the game for 30 years. Well, I'm sure it's more than 30 years. I mean, because he actually got on in like the 80s or something. So, it's definitely been longer than that. But it's like, I don't know. Somebody made a point that the Gen Zers may look at Jay Z as an elitist because of the level where he is. It's like some of them view him as an elitist because they only know him being the mega wealthy superstar, hip hop superstar, and married to Beyonce, of course. So, and then he's not always involved in things that matter to the community. So, I mean, hey, Um, I don't know, you know, because it really comes down to like Jay Z is one of hip hop's all time greats, at least statistically. But every generation sort of speaks a different language or dialect, and I'm not sure if he connects on that level or if they connect with him because I mean I don't think he's coming to meet anybody on their level. But I'm not sure if the Gen Zers. Oh wow, I'm not sure if the Gen Zers are really clicking and connecting with him like one would think. But peace, blessings. So yeah, just wanted to jump on here and vent because like I say, it's an interesting, it's an interesting time and an interesting look for Jay Z. I don't mean just the physical appearance, but just in the sense of whatever agenda that he seems to be trying to push at this point in time. You know, I'm not really, you know, not really for certain what agenda he's trying to push right now, but I can see him trying to get in front of everything that has been said about him, and we all know that he has had his name smeared in the media for quite a few years, and especially, with them mashing the gas since the Diddy thing. So, um, like I say, I'm just kind of wondering with this like divide of the reception of his freestyle. Um, for me, I don't think that I connected with the diss part of it, but like I say, I understand why he would actually want to speak up now. But I think there's a lot more to unpack here. Like I say, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and get this vertical live a shot. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna do a part two on this. But for now, yeah. Bless up to everybody who stopped through. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the sub. And yeah, I think I'm gonna do a part two on this one. All right.